Let me just go. We are live now.
Okay.
If they can view on Facebook. I think there's a music background from your hand.
Okay. Okay, it's interfering, right?
Yes. Okay, we are
Okay, are
live
you
now.
still here? Okay.
Yes, no, I'm not more hearing it again. Thank you,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Lagos. Good evening, Nigeria. Good evening, all over the world. My name is Adirunke Onipede, and I have a fantastic guest on my show tonight on Adirunke Live Show. We've been on a break for 1 month, one good month, because I had some personal other projects to run, and I didn't have the time. I couldn't get time to put my guests together. So pardon me for the break in transmission, like we say in Nigeria. And funny thing is that it's also our anniversary. Last week was our anniversary, so the month of May is our anniversary celebration, and we are also celebrating the Nigerian child. Is Nigerian's Children's Day celebration for May 27th. So all the guests we'll be having on the show for the month of May, they are guests that are focused on children projects, on seeing the well-being of the Nigerian child. And I know that we all know together that it is very important that when our children are fine, we can say that we are fine. And when they're not feeling fine, that we are not feeling fine. And so it's the same with every Nigerian child. I have a fantastic guest with me. I have known him on screen, I've known him, I've read about him, I've heard him speak. Very intriguing discussions, very, very deep discussions. If you are a parent, if you are not online right now, please buzz yourself and stay on. Get that extra data. You need to hear Mr. Akinlami speak, and I'm sure that you will be glad that you did. If you know parents that need to listen as well, that have children, even there to be parents with kids, if you are a parent, anyone that is a guardian is a parent. If you have a child that, whether your nephew or your niece, you also need to listen. There are some things that I know that as a parent that we get to know from other people. Parenthood does not have a book. It's a series of journey, that we all work together, but we need, one another to understand it better and to deliver better on the assignments that God has given us regarding these children. And we are celebrating children all over Nigeria and their childhood. And today's topic is on the joy of childhood. And before we go there, let's meet the one and only Mr. Taiwo Akinlami. Good evening, sir. Good evening.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
having me.
joining us.
It's my
Thank you.
pleasure being with you tonight. Thank you
Thank you.
for the great work that you are doing.
Thank
The
you,
Lord
sir.
is your strength, and
Amen.
continue to increase you, to inspire,
Amen.
and to
Amen.
affect humanity in no small way. It's my pleasure to
Amen.
be with you tonight.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. It's our honor to have you. Sorry, my light just pulled off. Let me raise it. Okay, it's back on. So go ahead, Mr. Akilami. Let's get to know you. So who is Taiwo Akilami?
Well, Taiwo Akinlami, that is how do I describe myself? I'm a person, I'm a man, I'm a father, I am a husband, I am a friend. I am interested in building an egalitarian society where the rights of every human being is respected, where people are not regarded according to their color or according to their background, or but they are judged by the content of their character, where there is level playing field for every human being to become all that God has created them to be, where greed does not become the threats to our stability, our peace, our joy as human beings. Because you see, Mahatma Gandhi made a statement. He said, God created enough for our need, but not enough for our greed. It means anywhere you see need is because somebody is greedy. God created everything to go around. So anywhere you see lack, anywhere you see poverty, anywhere you see children not growing, not experiencing joy, is because someone or some group of people or some institutions are sitting on what belongs to everybody. And so for me, I'm interested in living this world better than I met it. I'm interested in building an egalitarian society, particularly in Nigeria, in Africa, where everyone is respected and regarded not on the basis of the color of his or her skin, who his father is, who his mother is, who her mother is, who her father is, but on the basis of the content of their character, respecting his or her humanity, respecting his or her dignity of human person, insisting that nobody deserves to be put down because we are all made in the image and the likeness of God, and in God there's no waste.
True. I like that. In God there is no waste. In
Yeah.
God there is no, that's good. I like. Thank you for sharing a lot on that. Your desire and your purpose. So far. So share with us, how was your own childhood as a child? The topic is the joy of childhood. How was yours?
Okay, before I talk about my childhood, I'd like to say that the word joy is, there are six. Okay, for me, childhood is rest on three pillars. Childhood rests on three pillars. Number one, childhood is a mystery to be, childhood is a foundation to be laid. Life begins and ends in childhood. Childhood is the foundation to be laid. Everything we do today is as a result of how we were raised.
Mm,
Talk about your temperament. The dominant temperament in the world today is environment. We become how we're raised, and so for me, that's the foundation. So I tell people our nation, our continent, our world does not have marriage problem. We don't have educational problem. We don't have friendship problem. We don't have The only problem we have today is mismanaged childhood manifesting in adult in dysfunctional adulthood. So number one, childhood is a foundation to be laid. And once we get that foundation wrong, it is a struggle of a lifetime for any human being whose foundation is gotten wrong. And when I'm talking about foundation, I'm talking about inculcation of value system, positive value system in children. I'm also talking about recognizing the uniqueness of children in the area of their passion, in the area of their talent. Because when we are talking about originality, difference, we are really talking about value. We are really talking about talent. We're only really talking about talent. We are talking about giftings. We are talking about difference. All of those things are important. And the second pillar is that childhood is a mystery to be studied. There's more to childhood than we take responsibility for. Childhood need to be studied. I say often that nobody has a right to come near any child until you have graduated from the school of childhood, where you study children. Maybe you want to study your own childhood. Maybe you want to, and that study of childhood is both objective and subjective. Objective in the sense that you want to look at the what God created, the creation of God, and you want to also look at how that impacts on your own children. So, and the third pillar upon which childhood stands is that childhood is a gift. Childhood is a gift. you know Children are gifts from God. A gift does not come to give you a headache. A gift does not come to make life miserable for you. As a matter of fact, which means if it is a gift, you have the prerogative to collect it or to reject it.
mm,
It is not forced. Nobody forced a gift on you. Have you ever seen somebody who comes to your house and show you a gun and say you must collect this gift? At that point,
mm,
it's no more a gift. Childhood is a gift. Is a gift to humanity. And the only way we can assure continuity in the world, in humanity, is through childhood. So childhood is a gift. A gift has to be voluntarily has to be voluntarily requested, has to be voluntarily accepted, And a gift comes to make your life better. A gift comes to transform your life, depending on the magnitude of the gift. Nobody rejects a good gift. And
Yes.
the book that I read says every good and perfect gift is from God. So children are perfect gifts. You say, what about the child with cerebral palsy? A gift. What about the child with autism? A gift. What about the child with Down syndrome? A gift. What about the child with one form of learning disability or not? A gift. Every child is a gift. The difference is in the person who receives the gift. The preference is never with the child. The difference, the issue is always with the receiver of the gift. Whether there are people who receive gifts and the gift becomes their Waterloo. There are people who receive gifts and the gift becomes their headache. There are people who receive gifts and they maltreat the gift, they mess up the gift, and the person who gave them the gift is not even happy with them. He's not going to give them another one because of the way they've treated us. So when you recognize the fact that childhood is a foundation to be laid, childhood is a gift, childhood is a mystery to be studied. You need to study childhood. When you recognize that, when you recognize those three foundational issues, then you will know that you have a responsibility to preserve childhood. And what are the characteristics of a preserved childhood? When you say you preserve childhood, there are 6 fundamental characteristics that you're going to see in a child that you need to preserve in a child so that you can preserve that gift, you can preserve that foundation, you can preserve that mystery. And that the number one there is that a child is innocent. You must preserve innocence. You must preserve curiosity. You must preserve, you must preserve freedom. Now, for each of those qualities that I'm talking about, I can do a whole day teaching on each of them, on freedom, on innocence, on curiosity, on
Curiosity.
peace, on peace. Now, another characteristic you must keep in children is peace. Because
Peace.
children can only develop in a peaceful through when you imbibe in them inner peace and an environment of peace. An environment of chaos is going to produce troublesome children. Then the fifth is fearlessness. Children are fearless. And the sixth one is joy. So when you talk about the joy of childhood, joy is one of the things that you must preserve in children. And what is joy? Joy is a life of, of no care, because you have cast all your burden on someone. The person has taken responsibility for the burden. The person knows that when you are a child, you will behave like a child, you will speak like a child, you will call for attention like a child. The person is training you to become a man so that when you become a man or a woman, you throw away childish things. But
Yes.
the challenge is that if you do not preserve childhood, you do not preserve these 6 characteristics, the one that we are discussing today is joy. If you do not preserve that joy, what you are doing is that you have given the child the burden of adulthood in childhood. So what is going to happen is that the development space, the development cycle of the child is truncated, therefore. And when the development space of the child is truncated, the child is not going to grow. So the child is going to grow in the physical, in the body. It's going to grow breast, it's going to grow back, it's going to have pubic and all of that. But a that is a container carrying empty vessel. That is a container carrying empty vessel, because what is supposed to be in the vessel is the content of character, is the way the child thinks, is the way the child greets, is the way the child relates to the world. There's a guy called what's his name now? His name escaped me now. Seth Godin. Seth Godin says, when my child returns from school every day, I don't want to see his report sheet. I want to ask him, what did you do to help somebody today? What did you do to make life better today for someone? What did you do to make a difference in your school today? I'm not interested in your report sheet. And you see, the truth of the matter is this. In our world today, particularly in Africa, we are more interested in report sheets, in how our children are doing, first in English, first in maths, first in all of those things, forgetting that the world today does not need technical know-how. That is hard skill. The world today needs what we call soft skill. Harvard has now found that 80% of success in life and in the workplace is comes through soft skill, negotiating skill,
Yeah. Emotional
positivity,
intelligence.
no,
Yes.
emotional intelligence, all of
Yeah.
those negotiating skill, being nice, being good to people, being good instead of pursuing being great. Now,
Mm. Mm.
those attributes, like
Mm.
Ziegler said, he said, all the people that have made a difference, Fortune 500 people who have made a difference, the difference is that they are people of great civility and deportment. But when our children are not doing well in maths and they're not doing well in English, we get an English teacher to give them extra lesson. We get
Yes.
a math teacher to give them extra lesson. When they are not doing well in geography, we get a geography teacher to give them extra lesson. But when they are not doing well in soft skill, they don't greet, they cannot negotiate, they
In
cannot be
values.
confident, they
Mm.
cannot be bold, they cannot express themselves. We shout through it. My friend, greet. My friend, sit down. My friend, is that why I train you? At the end of the day, what we are doing is that we are using all of our energy to focus on what is responsible for only 20% of success in life, and we neglect that which is responsible for 80% of success in life. So what have we found? We now found that we are upside down. Everything is upside down. So for me, the conversation we are having today cannot be overemphasized. It's a powerful topic, it's a powerful conversation. When I saw the topic joy of childhood, I know that we can discuss it for the whole day. And for me, childhood for me was troublesome. Childhood for me was a trouble spot. Now, look, I do not look at my childhood with nostalgia. There's nothing that I left in childhood I wanted to go and take. 18 years was too long for me to be a child because childhood for me was troublesome. Childhood
Mm.
for me was hell. I keep telling people I was not raised, I was erased. Because you see, nature does not allow vacuum. It's either you are raising a child or you are erasing the child. And when we are talking
Wow.
about raising the child, we are
Wow.
talking about spirit, soul, and body. And when we are talking about the soul, we are talking about the mind, we are talking about the will, we are talking about the emotion. So whatever
Mm.
developmental plan that you have as a parent that does not take on board the spirit, that does not take on board the soul, that does not take on board the body, is a useless plan. If the plan only focuses on the spirit and does not focus on the soul and does not focus on the body, is a useless training. If it only focuses on the soul and does not focus on the spirit and does not focus on the body, is a useless training. If it only focuses on the body and does not focus and focuses on the soul and does not focus on the spirit,
The
is a
spirit.
useless training. So it must be an all-encompassing
Balance.
training. Is it going to be a perfect training? No, no way. It cannot be a perfect training because the world as it is right now does not have what it takes to receive perfection, to receive perfection, contain perfection, or live with perfection. So, but what we are talking about is that we are talking about a balanced approach to all of these things. And when you say a man of integrity, you are saying 70% of the time he's going to get it right. 30% of the time he's going to get it wrong. So how come the world now calls him a man of integrity or a woman of integrity? They call him a man or a woman of integrity because the time he or she gets it right is higher than the time he or she gets it wrong. So
Mm.
the times he gets it right superimposes itself on the time he or she gets it wrong, to the point that when he gets it wrong becomes unnecessary and people do not refer to him as that person who gets it wrong. And also somebody they say is not a man of integrity. 30% of the time is a man of integrity. 30% of the time is a woman of integrity. What has happened is that the times is a woman, he or she is a woman of integrity, is lower in rate to the time that he or she is a man or woman of integrity. So you say the man does not have integrity. There's no such person who is totally without integrity.
Mm.
But it's just that dominantly is a man without integrity.
Mm.
Dominantly. So if you look at somebody who's actually molest a child, it's
Mm.
not, it's going to be nice to some children now. It's going to be
Mm.
nice to some children. But the point is that is not is a child sexual abuser. So for me, at the end of the day, my childhood was troublesome. There was nothing in childhood that I was going to take. I was. There are four ways by which you can steal childhood. You call it childhood abuse, but I call it child dehumanization. There are four ways by which you can steal childhood from a child. The number one way you can steal childhood from a child is through physical abuse. When you beat a child today, you beat the child blue and black. Today they call it discipline. And people tell me that there's a thin line between discipline and abuse. I said, no. Discipline is discipline, abuse is abuse. Those who don't know the difference mix it up and they mess up children. Discipline is not abuse. There are two different things. So you cannot discipline a child, because the word discipline comes from the Latin word disciplinare, which is to teach, not to beat, to teach. And how do you teach? You teach by example. That is why a man called John C. Maxwell said, and Abraham Lincoln says, how do you train a child the way you should go? You will go there first, and come and take the child with you. And when the book that I read says, train up a child the way you should go, what the book is saying is that pay attention to the formative years, because the formative years is the definition of the life of the child. He said, train up a child the way he should go. When he's old, he will not. He will not. He will not. That is what the Bible is telling us. Pay attention to the formative years, because once the child is grown, he will not depart from it. He's going to work on that. There's nothing you can do. Once the child, and what are these formative years? Maria Montessori now tells us between age 0 and 6, 80% of the personality of the child is formed between age 0 and 6. So that's that. So the second thing was that I lost my virginity at the age of 6. That's the year I started primary school, because my mother would go to the market, and when I returned from school, I was to stay with our neighbor, and this neighbor would strip me naked, do with a 6-year-old boy what a woman should do with a man. I'm 51 years old now. I was sexually molested between age 6 and 8, serially, by that woman. Give me pen and paper now. Give me biro. I will still draw that woman. I'm seeing her as I'm talking to you now. I'm seeing the mark on her face. I'm seeing the kind of hair she used to do. I can remember the size of her body and all of that. Because what happens is that pain does not disappear. The picture of pain, the picture of abuse do not disappear. Once childhood is stolen, it cannot be restored. It is only by the mercies and the grace of God. So time will fail me to talk about the child that I became as a result of the abuse that I suffered. One of my greatest motivations today that I do the work that I do is my story. It's not the things that I read in books. Do I read books? But it's my story. I know what I went through. I know what I suffered, because I understand the implication. I understand the impact of stealing childhood from a child. I warn men. I've continued to warn men in the last 21 years. I've seen people did not find help, who have become serial killers, who have become rapists, who are not able to hold a marriage together, who are not able to hold their home, who are also in turn abusing their own children, who have become thieves, who have become people, psychopaths, sociopaths, people who make life difficult for others. It is as a result of how they were raised. We're not going to excuse their action and their actions and their omissions on the basis of how they were raised, but it is a reality we need to deal with if we are going to rid our society of those kind of people and those kind of men. Then the third way by which you can steal childhood from a child is through what we call neglect. You are not available, you are not there. You are not there, or you are there, you are not there. There are 3 kinds of neglect. Number 1 kind of neglect is that you are not even available. Number 2 kind of neglect is that you are there, but you are not there. Number 3 kind of neglect is that you are there, you don't even know what to do. Very pathetic. The fourth way by which you steal childhood from a child, you have the physical, you have the emotional, you have the sexual, then you have the neglect. Then the fourth way you steal childhood away from children is through emotional abuse. Emotional abuse begins from when you chastise a child for everything the child does wrong, and you never commend the child for anything the child does right. So that was my life growing up, a big mess. Now, do I blame my parents? No, I do not. Do I have a grudge against my parents? I do not. They too, they could not give what they did not have. What they had was what they gave. They came from my mother was born into a polygamous home where my mother was my grandmother was like the 23rd wife of my grandfather, and my grandfather and my grandfather and my maternal grandfather and my maternal my paternal grandfather, so this is what happened. My grandfather had a friend who gave birth to my grandmother. They were friends. Now my grandfather knew when my grandmother was born, and so So my grandmother was so young that when my grandfather died, she was still giving out to the younger
Mm.
brother of my father or my grandfather, and she still had a child. That's how young she was. So she had 6 children to care for, under in a polygamous home when the husband was no more, and and the husband just built an harem. So my mother also was not raised. She could not give what they did not have. The same thing my father. Time will fail me to talk about the story of my own dad, what he went through as a child, and the kind of man he became before he married my wife. Because before he married my mother. So the truth of before he married my mother, the truth of the matter therefore is that they did not have they could not give what they did not have. I say boldly that my parents loved us. They really wanted to give us the best, but the best you will always give is the best that you have. And that is why today, in conclusion, or to this particular question, that is why today I care less about what people talk, care less about style of parenting. Yes, authoritarian, authoritative, all of those styles. I appreciate them. I understand them. But let me tell you something. Àdá tó mú ṣánṣán kò lè ṣán kò fúnra rẹ̀ ènìyàn ló lè ṣàtọkùn fún. No matter how well sharpened your cutlass is, the cutlass is not going to cut by itself. So instead of talking about styles, let's first talk about persons. Let's stop talking about, let's not lead with what people should do. Let's lead with what people should be. If you were abused as a person, as a child, you are going to produce after your kind except you find help. You see, so we need to first be interested in who you are. Who are you? What kind of person are you becoming? You see, raising children for me, it's a very delicate thing. It's a very delicate thing. You see, raising children is like marriage, because you get into it before you get a certificate. You get a certificate from the beginning. They certify you. When you get married, they give you certificate, which means they certify you that you are married. When you give birth to children, they give the child birth certificate, they give to you, which means they certify you to raise the child. Meanwhile, nobody checks your preparation before they give you that marriage certificate. Nobody checks your preparation before they give you that birth certificate that you are certified. This is the birth certificate of this child. So this child now is under your care legally. But nobody trains you for that certificate of marriage. Nobody trains you for that certificate that you collect for children. So we put the destiny of children in our hands. So what do? We learn on the job. But when you are learning on the job, the child is not sleeping. The child is not dead. The child is alive. You are learning with the life of the child. Your trial and error, whether I get it or I don't get it, but the point is this: we must be interested in who you are, because the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. I tell teachers, I say, look. When I train teachers, I tell them, I say, look, we tell you to buy products. You say, I'm not going to buy products. It's the school. I say, look, do you have 2 brains? As you have been in this class since now, what you are learning, want to apply it to your children when you get home? Or do you have a brain that when you are coming to school, you remove the brain, you put it at home? That's the brain for the home. Then, like contact lens. Then when you come to school, you carry the brain that they put in your bag. You put it, this is the brain of the school. Then when you now finish school, you put the brain back, you get home, you are brainless. Between school and home, when you get home, you put on another brain. I said, this is you. It is who you are that determines what you do. So I think the issue of parenting is first about the issue of persons, who you are. If you are a gossip, if you are a coward, if you are somebody that cannot say your mind, if you are somebody that cannot hold a relationship, those are the things we first need to address, because you first need to be a person before you are a parent. You are first a human being, a person who understands the capacity to think, because when we say you are a person, we are saying you have what? We are saying you can think. We are saying you can make choices. Now, that's your worth. You must recognize it that you have worth. That is where your value system comes in. That's your ability to think. The decision you are going to take is going to be dependent on your identity, to know that you are a person of worth. The choices you are going to make also is going to be dependent on your identity and the way you think. So all of these are woven together. So today, I see that the battle that parents must be fighting is the battle of who am I? Am I getting better? Let me tell you something. If your value system is sound, and let me just quickly say that, if you are someone who is always looking for growth, you don't need a special parenting training
mm,
for you to raise children well. If you are somebody who know your onions, always interested in personal development, you always want to be better. You always want to look for better ways to do things. You are interested in living this world the better way, better than you met it. You are just going to find that things are going to turn well around you.
mm, mm. Exactly. Are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Oh, okay, okay. The line freeze, so I couldn't see you move.
No, I didn't break. I just finished answering your question, so I was waiting for.
See, I've been engrossed in your in
Yeah.
your response. I've been so
Yeah.
engrossed. Well done, sir. Well done.
Okay.
You took us to the school, to the school. What did my mom call it? The school of Atunubi.
Mm,
My mom says this thing that when they in Yoruba, Antoba Biyon, in your man to Rebini. That means
mm,
when they give birth to you, you also learn to train yourself, to develop yourself, to
mm,
have a rebirth. And
mm,
that's what you took us through. For us to think about it before we are saying that we want to train up children. Do we have those trainings already? Are we
mm,
are we formed to become parents, like you said? Are we first a being? Then it's not about being a parent, it's about being a being. And you being
mm,
a being makes it the parenting easier for you. That's fantastic. That's the word. That's the word. Being a person, being a human being, it makes parenting easier. So we struggle when we don't discover who we are first, before we now say we want to train up those children that God has given to us. Thank you so much for that insight. Thank you for that depth, of explanation. Well appreciated, sir. Thank you. So now let's talk about, and I'm so sorry that you had to go through all that when you were growing up. But I like the fact that you've taken it up to see it as a purpose-driven, challenge for you to turn it around for some other children, not to have the same experience that you've had. And it's also huge to know that you didn't take it against your parents, that you understood the fact that they were challenged, with information and how to manage it. That's huge, sir. I tell you, that's a huge one. That's a huge one. Thank you. Thank you. So let's talk about now. I like the fact that you started with the point of what joy is, what children needs, the needs of a child, fearless, to be fearless, to have joy, to be confident. And I like the fact that you explained that it is not all theoretical for these children. It's not Success is not all theoretical for them. It's not about being the best in math, being the best in English, being the best in this, but it's about value of a human being, them as a value, and seeing other people, respect, appreciation of the fact that I am beyond myself. There's another human being beside me, and I need to understand and appreciate that. I like that. So now, for those learnings you put us through, now let's come to the point that right now, you made one statement that some parents are there, but emotionally they are not connected. So they're
mm,
only there physically, but there's no connection. And there's so much at stake for them. They have bills, they have house rent to pay, they have school fees to pay, they have food to put on the table. A lot of In this part of our world, we depend so much on each other. We can easily call people and say, I need this. Over there is not, it's not possible. You might even need to book time of calls and all that. So how can parents, how do you advise? Because I like that you said you don't give, you just give insight. How can parents that are so, you keep how will I say it, are so overwhelmed with all these responsibilities, how can they be a part of the child? Because for some of us, we had it, not maybe not too balanced, but a little fair, but we want the children to have it better. The way Nigeria is going, so many things are so wrong, so many things, and we don't want to mention them. And unconsciously we feel these children don't know. Next week I'm going to have some kids come on the show, and I've been talking to them, and you'll be shocked at their responses. They know what is going on. They hear our discussions. They see our reactions to things. And seriously, deep down, they are scared. These kids are scared. So how can parents now get involved, as in deeply involved, not just being there physically, but being there in connection with these children, to erase those fears, to erase those feeling of insecurity that is surrounding the Nigerian child right now.
well, The question you have asked is a powerful question that requires a lot of that calls for deep reflection and sober reflection. The truth of the matter is that raising children in a third world country is a tall order. Parents are distracted by many things.
Many
And we
things.
cannot blame parents because you see, there's no nation on earth, I keep saying, any meaningful nation, any sensible nation, where the responsibility of raising children is strictly on the shoulder of the primary parents. Tonight, I'm going to be doing a show where I'm going to be talking about mind your language. There's parents, in parenting, there's primary parents, there's secondary parents. The primary parents are the people who are biological parents or their guardians. The secondary parents are the people that are also playing the role of parenting the life of children. There are 4 institutions that are responsible for raising children. Parenting is a 4-dimensional responsibility. Unfortunately, in Africa, we have turned into 1 dimension. Parenting simply means to give direction to children in a safe environment, in a level playing field environment. So the first institution that is responsible for raising children is the family. The family. And what is the role of the family? The role of the family is very simple: to inculcate positive value system in children. That is the role of the family. Inculcation of positive value system in children. That is the role of the family. Ordinarily, school fees is not the role of the family. Ordinarily, health care is not the role of the family. Ordinarily, it is when the state fails, the community fails, that you now find the family playing all of those roles that are meant for community, that are meant for the state. Now, the responsibility of the family is to inculcate positive value system in children. Now, you have the community. That's the second institution.
Parent.
In the community, you have the schools, you have the churches, you have the mosque, you have the neighbors, you have the media. In the community, we have different organizations, different NGOs. They are members of the community. What is their role? Their role is to reinforce that value system that parents are inculcating in their children. That is their role, to reinforce it, because they are closer to the family. Not only to reinforce it, to also support the family so that the family will not be distracted from that role that they are playing. That is why communities establish schools. That is why community establishes clubs. That is why community takes on health care, so that they can help the parents, they can lift up the burden of all of those things over the shoulder of the parents, so that the parents can be responsible to their children. Are you with me?
Yes, I am. I am with you.
So, the third institution that is responsible for raising children is the state, the government. The government is supposed to create level playing field, be in charge, make social investments that will lead to social protection. What is social protection? Provision of basic amenities, of schools, of health care, of shelter, of food. Now look, imagine that school fees is taken from the burden of parents in Nigeria now. See how much time they are going to have.
I'm telling you.
Imagine that the state regulates the level of entertainment that our children are exposed to, and they censor the kind of entertainment our children are exposed to. Look at the level of peace parents are going to have. In a country called Iceland, children were messing up. They were becoming delinquent. They were consuming Indian hemp. They were consuming drugs. And the society did a research, and they found that the children who were wayward were children whose parents were distracted by their work, by the things that they did. And so what did the government do? Government now says Spend 1 hour with your child, we give you extra dollar. Spend
Mm.
give you extra money. What did the government do? The government incentivized
That's
the
fantastic.
idea of parents spending time with their children, because
That's
the
fantastic.
government recognized that our role is to strengthen the family so that the
Mm.
family can play the role of inculcating positive value system. It is
Mm.
not our role as a government to inculcate positive value system. It is the role of the family. And so if it
Parents.
is the role of the family and the family is not being distracted, and we can see it in the way our young people are turning out, let us
Mm.
make sure that we empower the family. I tell you, in 5 years, the lives of those young people changed. Go and check it online. Iceland has one of the best behaved young people in the world today.
Mm.
Because of what? Because the government supported the family to take responsibility. The government did not take up that responsibility because the government knows it is not their role to play that role.
Mm.
Then you have the international community. The international community is to uphold global standard of how children are supposed to be raised. But you know that the international community is not on the side of anybody. The international community is always on the side of interest, common,
Mm.
no prevailing interest. The same international community that intervened in Libya, that intervened in Egypt, that intervened in Yemen, has not been able to intervene in Syria. Syria, there's a civil war in Syria now that is close
Yeah.
to 1 decade. Why? Because two members of the Security Council, China and Russia, are interested in protecting the government in Syria. And so UNICEF, so the international community, United Nations, has not been able to do anything. So for me, our parents in Nigeria are carrying the loads that they are not supposed to carry. As a matter
Carry.
of fact, our children in Nigeria, they are not citizens of Nigeria, because if the children are citizens of Nigeria, we must be able to show what should accrue to them. Those children are
Mm.
citizens of their parents, because
Mm.
everything that the government is supposed to provide for them, that the community is supposed to provide for them, so it is the parents that are providing it. So what have we found? We have now found a situation that a vehicle that is supposed to be running on 4 tires is running on 1 tire. And this
Mm.
vehicle is tired. This vehicle is pressured. Unfortunately, we have not defined that pressure, because what has happened is that it's an unconscious pressure, because you have
Mm.
accepted as a responsibility what is not the responsibility of your counterparts in developed countries. You have accepted them as your responsibility. Since parenting is not designed to be like that, you are carrying the load that you are not sure that you are carrying. What has happened therefore is that when you start parenting in Nigeria, let's say you start parenting in Nigeria at the age of 26. Let's say
Mm.
you start parenting in Nigeria at the age of 26, and you have children. Your child is going to go to primary school. That's 6 years.
Yes.
He's going to go to secondary school another 6 years. That's 12
Yes.
years. He's going to go to the university.
Okay.
That's another 4 years.
Four,
That
five
is
years.
that is 24. That is 26 years. Is that not so?
Yes.
At
Yes.
26 years to your age, you'll be 52 or thereabout. If you start having children later, maybe at 30 or 30 something, what has happened is that you are sentenced to the school, you are sentenced to the prison of parenting. You're going to spend all your life parenting your children. By the time you finish parenting, nothing is left for you. You are just arriving at the departure land of life, and you are ready to depart. So when you begin to raise children in Africa, you are on your own, or you are on your own. You are not only on your own, you are under intense pressure to make provision. There's no support. And those people who are able to provide are the people from the upper crust of society, the people from the
Yes.
middle class. There are now some people who are not able to provide anything. They are not able to help their children. That is why 13.5 million Nigerian children are out of school today. That is why
Mm.
during COVID, 40 million
40
children were out of
million.
school, 40 million, because they did
Mm.
not have access to any form of gadget, any form
Internet.
of internet. They did not. That is why 38 million Nigerians who were trying to access adult education did not have access to education during COVID, which means a whooping number of 80 million Nigerians did not have access to education during COVID. And we are saying that in a country where 92 million Nigerians are living in ultra abject poverty,
Mm.
which means they are living in less than $1.99 per day. How much is
Mm.
$1 today? 480 naira. When you say 199, so let's put it at the region of less than 1,000 naira, less than 900 naira. That is
Yeah.
what we are talking about, 950 or thereabouts. Then a family of 2, a family of 3, a family of 4. What
4.
can you do with 980 something naira? What can you do with it?
A
So that is
day.
what we are talking about. So we go through that pressure, and that pressure in itself is a major distraction to parents. And that is why today I salute parents. I empathize with parents. I know that it is not easy to carry the mantle of parenting in a developing country. Whether you are exposed or you are not exposed, whether you are rich or you are poor, everybody is affected. And that is why we must calm down as parents. We must recognize that we are raising children in difficult circumstances. We must stop beating ourselves down. We must stop blaming ourselves. We must ask ourselves under God, what is the best that we can do with our children despite the existing circumstances in which we have found ourselves? And that's what I'm going to tell you, that the word children is an acronym. The word C stands for care. Care. What is care? To anticipate the needs of children, to anticipate the threat to them, to make adequate preparation, to meet those needs and mitigate those threats well before they arise. That is the word care there. The word H stands for heritage. Children are the greatest gift that you can leave to a dying world. The gift of God to change our world, to bless our world, is children, right? Then then the word I stands for individuality. Children are individuals. They are different. They are different in their giftings. They are different in their disposition. They are different in life, and we must recognize that. The word L stands for leadership. Children are not leaders of tomorrow. They are leaders of today. Children begins to lead from the day they are born. When they are born, they cry, "Wah, wah, I'm here." That is taking responsibility for survival, because the child knows that if he or she does not cry, she or she might be buried, and she does not want to be buried, so she cries out. When a child wants to be breastfed, the child does not ask for anybody's permission, doesn't need mommy to prompt him or her. He's going to cry, and you're going to have to breastfeed the child. That is responsibility, because leadership simply means ability to take responsibility. The word D stands for delightful. Children are delightful beings, which means there's nothing a child can do that can get you angry, except anger is already residing in you. And many of us are angry. We're angry about school fees. We're angry about the state of the nation. We're angry about our husband. We're angry about our wife. We're angry about salary cut. We're angry about the fact that there's no palliative. The palliative that are meant for the citizens are being kept by government. We're angry about a whole lot of things. We're angry about pothole. We're angry about electricity. So that anger, we unleash it on children. It's called transferred aggression. So children are delightful. The word R there means you must respect children. When you don't respect children, three things will happen. One, they will not respect themselves. Two, they will not respect you. Three, they will not demand respect from other people. It is our responsibility to treat children as human beings and respect them. The word E stands for engage. We cannot leave things to chance. We must engage our children. We must talk to them. We must think ahead of the situation they are dealing with. Children are dealing with a whole lot of issues today. They are they are living in an over-sexualized world. They are dealing with a world where freedom is mistaken for freedom is mistaken for license for immorality, license for debauchery, license for a meaningless life. That is the kind of world they are living in. So we need to engage our children. We need to think ahead and engage them. The word N there stands for now. Now is the time, because a child is in a phase of life, in a state of development. We cannot wait. The child cannot wait. Every other thing can wait, but the child cannot wait, because what you don't teach your child today, that you are supposed to teach him or her today, you will never be able to teach him tomorrow. Because when you are teaching him tomorrow, it has passed. The syllabus has passed. The time the child is supposed to learn it has passed. So when you are trying to teach the child after the child was supposed to have learned it, what you are dealing with is damage control. It doesn't work.
Mr. Akinlami. Thank you so much for that in-depth teaching. It's
Thank you.
teaching. This is parenting. Is it parenting 101 or parenting 100 102? Oh, fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that. I got so much myself. I got, and I know a lot of people that are watching and will watch afterwards. Need some people might need to write some things down. I appreciate the fact that, you said there's this one that you said that really got me, of discovering a child. That because of, you are not saying that whether the old ways, what did you call it, there's a way we always call it disciplinary way of doing things, whether it is bad, whether the new way is bad or whatever, but it's about the personality of that child. Whichever way you want to choose, to train up, to parent a child, do you understand that child itself? Do you understand the needs of that child? It's not about all the things we feel we need, but the child. And like, yeah, I like the fact that you balance it well. That children also need, they need the respect. They need respect. They need to be seen as human beings, which a lot of us we forget. I forget it sometimes myself too. And that is the way they can learn to respect others and to be respected. That's deep. That's deep. If you show them how it is, then they will know they deserve it. They have a right for people to respect them, and it's not as if they will clamor for it. Let me ask you, because we have very few minutes left. Let me ask you one more time. For you made not an excuse, but you try to balance it, that the world is so not the way it's supposed to be, especially in this developing world like ours. Parents, their role is supposed to add value, to make a child responsible. Why the society is supposed to help, the governance is supposed to help educate a child, put skills into a child. The parents are meant to do the homework of imbibing values. That's a new one for me. That's a new one. And it's so cumbersome that parents have to start doing all the roles: mental, emotional, financial. The parents are everything. And sincerely, it's really affecting them delivering on their own key role as parents. It is. So how can parents balance it now? Because we've seen the challenges, we've seen they have to get this money. And like, I like the Iceland example that you use, that the government is trying to put, the government did, try to help a parent, say that if your child does something well, we will take up this, which is fantastic. Where how can parents and government in our own kind of world right now? I don't know, it's hard. I don't even know what solution to
Okay,
offer for them.
well, for
But
me, going
mm,
forward, I think that parents, you see, the advice that I can give, if I'm going to reach to the depth of my conscience,
yes, sir.
is that parents who have the resources, they should
Mm,
brace up and help
mm,
their children.
okay.
And they're already paying the school fees, they're already doing all of that.
Yes.
Then, because when we're talking about parents here, we're talking about both who have and those who do not have.
Don't have. Yes.
Now, those who do not have, there are 92 teeming millions, 20,
Mm,
92 million. We are living on less than $1.9 per day. What do we advise them to do? Than to give their best, because if they can give their best, their children will not be 13.5 million of them will not be out of school.
mm,
There are 13.5 million of them are out of school.
yeah.
13 point, many of them are prone to abuse and all of that. Because,
Yes.
and again, because of power dynamics, those who abuse their children sometimes are people high up there who they cannot
Yeah.
even fight. They cannot even fight their battle, because the people who
Mm,
abuse children sometimes they are people that are high up, and so they also use their position to oppress the poor. I think I think there are two ways I want to look at it. For parents that can afford it, just think about the book, the bird in Chuna Achebe's book, who says his men have learned to fly to his men have learned to shoot and not to miss, have learned to fly and not to perch. We have to decide. This is the country which we have found ourselves. What best can we do for our children? What best can we do for our children? We just have to. We just have to. We just have to. We cannot. The government is not working with poor generator.
at
Things
all.
are not working. We've made another arrangement. We've made arrangement for security. The same way we made arrangement for all of those things, let us find a way to make arrangement for our children the way we're already
Mm,
doing. We're already doing that. And I want
mm,
to enjoin you to do more. Just do more.
mm,
And what I think parents can also do is to embrace this idea of support group. And I mean it, support group. People that you can come together, start a cooperative,
I
you
like
know,
that.
do something, come together, start a cooperative, discuss about your issues, about your children. If possible, parents can come together and start a school, is a possibility. Schools
Yeah.
like Grange, Lagos Preparatory School, they started with parents looking for
Parents,
a way to educate their children. It's a
children.
possibility, something parents should continue to look at. If all of us run away from Nigeria, I can assure you, nobody is going to be left in that country. So the solution cannot be for all of us to abandon the nation. Now the other thing is that the final solution is the building of an egalitarian society. As it is today, my sister, things are getting worse by the day in our nation.
Us.
And the truth
Yeah.
of the matter is that is because there's no system of government that is built to respect the rights and the rights of citizens. That is if
Yeah.
we can call ourselves citizens, because that word citizen is a very massive concept. I cannot go into it today. So for me, I
Mm,
think that's what we need to do. We need to advise ourselves. We need to believe that where there's a will, there's a way. But
way.
ultimately, we need to agitate for an egalitarian society.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Thank you so much, Mr. Akinlami.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, madam, for
Thank you.
having me.
I like that idea of support group. I like the idea of parents coming together to share their
Mm,
challenges and
mm,
look for lasting solutions. If it's
yes.
education, maybe if you have the financial means to start up something. And I
Mm,
think even that idea of preschool too, from what I heard so far, it was from parents that needed something beyond what we call jealousy me those days,
mm,
where
mm,
kids would just go to. Parents came together
mm,
before they brought in the Montessori style of teaching. Parents came together and said, okay, these ones are too mature to be in the main school, before
mm,
nursery, primary, and all that. And
mm,
for me, like my own kids, I love the idea of the preschool, not
mm,
mixing those kids with the primary, the way the main primary school. It was
mm,
really helpful. It gave us time to discover who these children are and to be able to
mm,
manage them. And I think a lot
mm,
more parents should try, like you said, try a little much more. Get
mm,
involved, forcefully get
mm,
involved. Like we always say these days, is deliberate parenting. You
mm,
have to. Yes, we accept the fact that our own environment is not giving us what our other counterparts all over the world are getting.
mm, mm,
So we need to manage what we have right now. But if you like, and those for let me add to that you said, and those that have extra to give out, please remember that there are also 92.1 million Nigerian families do not have the capacity to go to the best of the best schools. So if you have a child that you can pick up to help train, if you have a child you can pick up to help coach,
yes.
to help
Yes.
mentor, please let's do it. Because
Right.
like my grandma used to say, before you get to those mansions, many times we have to pass through the market. And
Mm,
if you pass through the market does not have market for the rich. It's both ways.
mm,
And so a child of the poor can barricade the entrance to your glass house.
mm.
So, and if you don't want that entrance to be blocked, if you can, you might need to just show an extent of love to those that don't have that capacity. Two more questions before I let you go. Child, I didn't want to raise it, but I will not do justice if my conscience will not clear me. The physical child abuse is alarming. It's scary that every day I myself I have to start telling my boys. Now I have, like I learned on the last place I met you, to say the word that it is. I say it to them now. Before I used to call it wee wee and all that, but now
Mm,
I say it the way it is. It is called penis, it is called vagina, it is called this, it is breast, it's this. Please enlighten parents just in few words on physical. You gave us one word that day. You said that we should not call it private parts. Every part of the body of any human is private. It's my
mm.
choice to allow you make it public. It's my choice to make it public, but you don't have the right to touch it because you feel it's my private. No. Both the one you can see, the one you cannot see, they are all private to me. Please enlighten
Yeah.
those that are
So
watching
so
us
so
with
when we
your
talk about private part or public part,
mm,
it is to the extent of decency.
yes.
What I want to cover, what I want to show. It has nothing to do with genitals. That doesn't do with where somebody can touch or where somebody cannot touch.
Mm,
Private part, public part is not a subject under sexual intercourse or sexual commitment. Is when you talk about private and public part, is a subject matter under decency,
mm.
because some parts of our body are more sensitive than the other.
Other.
Some of them need more protection. than the other. So some of them are called private for the purpose of decency, for the purpose of the care that each of them deserve. And that's when you read the Bible. The Bible talks about the parts of our body, that some are more delicate than the other. So that is it. That is what we mean by private part and public part. But when it comes to sex, every part of a child is private to the child. And let me even stretch it. When it comes to sex, every part of the body of a human being is private to the human being. Every part is private. Madam, you're an adult. Can somebody see you at a shopping mall and grab you from the back and hold you?
No.
You're an adult. Oh.
Yes.
If you look back, the person must be your husband.
Yes.
Must be your husband. Say, I just came here now. How are you, my wife? It can't be your neighbor. It can't be one old person that you have not seen in school. Or maybe it's your friend who is a female like you.
Yes.
Somebody cannot even see you in the shopping mall and come and hold your hand. Are you getting it?
Yes.
So every part of your body is private to you. When we talk about sexual touch, sexual overtures, sexual intercourse, every part of your body is private. But we are not emphasizing it for children, that every touch is bad if it is not necessary. The only touch that is good is a necessary touch. And what is the touch that is good? It is the touch that is supposed to provide care and provide cautious affection. If you're in ShopRite, madam, and you're about to fall, somebody does not need to be your husband. Somebody does not need to be your friend from school to hold you.
Yes.
And where they are going to hold you is going to be dependent on where it's necessary for them to hold you.
Yes.
When somebody faints and they are removing the cloth, they are trying to get to the chest, to pump the chest. Can you say, hey, why are you touching my breast? He said, can't do that. It means that necessity demanded that they do all of that. If you have a child who is 6 years old, we've now been told in child development, you begin to allow children to bath for themselves from between age 5 and 6. You don't leave them, you stay there, but you are teaching them to do it themselves. But you cannot come now and say you want to bath for your 12-year-old child now. Whether you're a man or a woman, you say you want to bath for your 9-year-old, you are bathing for the child. You can't do that. But you are going to do that if the child is sick and the child cannot carry himself or herself. That means it becomes necessary for you to do that. So we are saying that telling children that every part, that there's something called private part, public part, and when somebody touch private part, that's when they should talk. When somebody touch public part, no problem. When we tell them there's good touch is a touch outside your body, your private. Bad touch is your private. Those who want to abuse children don't start with vagina. They don't start with penis. They don't start with those places you call private part. They start with outer part, because they are very systematic. Even husband and wife, do they start when they want to have sex? Do they make love? Do they start with the action? They will also start with all those fairy now to put themselves in the mood. So what are we talking about? So that when somebody touch your hand, can somebody who's not your husband come and be touching your hand and be stroking your hand and say no, it's not. Can you do that in presence of your wife? Somebody is not going to be holding your hand. You say, no, my husband, and my wife is not sleeping with me now. Can any husband take it? Can somebody be stroking the hand of the wife, or vice versa? Won't you say, excuse me, what's going on? If you see a text if you look at all this emoji that people are sending around now, if somebody sends you a message and blow kiss to you, and your husband sees, is he going to say it's emoji? Don't say it's just emoji. If your husband challenge you, my Aderonke, what's that? You say, sign in now. Should be just emoji. Now. Can you say that? If somebody is just breaking you heart, love, blowing you kiss, does it not evoke the same emotion of jealousy that is going to evoke if it is physical?
Yes.
Marriage are broken because people were flirting across the ocean now. They never saw themselves, but the husband saw messages of flirtation, of kisses, of emoji that were sent. On the basis of that, the husband said, you are committing adultery. Can the woman say, oh, no, I'm not committing adultery. I didn't sleep with him. What is the message, this message that you are sending? What does it mean? So these issues are deep issues, and we need to open the eyes of our children to all of these things. I tell children, Our book is coming out now. It's titled "Every Part of My Body is Private to Me."
Yes.
Every part, and
Like
we
important.
designed it as a comic. We have a song
Yeah.
out there that has also addressed that every part is private to me. So for me, we don't tell children private, good part, good touch, bad touch. We tell them every touch
Every
is
touch.
on every touch. The
Yeah.
only good touch is a touch that is necessary.
Necessary.
The only bad touch is a touch that is not necessary.
It's true.
Nobody can touch you except for the purpose of providing care or
Yeah.
affection. Father, mother, anybody. And you say, what
Mm.
about my children? Yes, you can hug your children. Science in the child development encourages us to hug our children as many times as possible. Now, but
Mm.
if you are hugging other people's children, the time allowed you is 3 seconds. Not that you now hold them like that there. Can you even go to a shopping mall and see a child? No matter how
Mm.
young the child is as an adult, just go and hold the child.
Mm.
Is the mother not going to look at you and say, excuse me, are you a
Of course.
kidnapper?
What are
Why are
you
you
all
taking
right?
my child? Are you going to say, no, 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 no,
Exactly.
I didn't touch the private part. I just hold the child. So this teaching has caused trouble for many children because they
Mm.
were not able to decipher the time at which they
The
must say no.
age.
At this point,
Mm.
they must cry out and say, no, you can't do that to me. We're not able to. So for
Mm.
us, in our own teaching, every part of the child is private to the child. Nobody has the right to touch it except for the purpose of providing care
Yeah.
and cautious affection.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Akinlami. I'm so, so grateful. Thank you for that. Please let me just do my questions A and B. For finally, what can parents that is inevitable for them to have because of the kind of job they do, they need to have nanny, they need to have or drop the child off with a relation or something is inevitable. What are the precautions? What are the safety precautions they need to put in place for these children and for
Well, the safety
themselves?
precaution they need to put in place is basically to do their due diligence before they
Mm,
drop their child with anybody or before they allow anybody to come. Mr. Lakulation defines a stranger as someone whose character you cannot vouch for. So a stranger
mm,
can be your mother, a stranger can be your father, a stranger can be your husband, a stranger can be your wife, a stranger can be your grandmother, a stranger can be anybody, a stranger can be your neighbor. A stranger is a human being whose character you cannot vouch for. Simple.
for.
So once you cannot
Thank
vouch for somebody's character, you say, why do you hire a nanny online? You can hire a nanny online. That's not a problem. The problem is
mm,
that what due diligence did you do
have you
before
done?
you
Yeah.
commit your child to the nanny? What did you do? What test did you
Mm,
carry out? What interview did you do? What search did you make? Time will fail me
mm,
to talk to you about many people who have hired people, and those people have become the Waterloo of their children. So the thing,
many.
if it becomes necessary, just consider the child. Is the child valuable to you? Are you just
Mm,
going to give your gold, your diamond, your precious stones? Are you just going to give them to someone because the person shows up on your house to say he can help you look after them? Are you
mm,
guys going to release your password? Can you go to Billboard and put your password there, the password of your PIN number or to your ATM number or your card?
mm.
Are you just going to put it out there and say it's available? Ọlọ́run ló máa is God. It's God that looks after everything.
Everything.
God is my protector. So you put your password. Even when you want to press it at ATM, you look back very well. Somebody appears to be looking at you, you cover it. So
Mm,
if those things that are important to you, things like password, how do you labor to keep them? Some people, if
mm,
their spouses don't even have their password, you labor your trinket,
yes,
your gold, your precious stones. You don't just drop
mm,
them for anybody. So if your children are more important to you than your precious stone, then your disposition to them will be different.
be different.
That is the issue. Your disposition, you'll be keeping them as treasure, as something that nothing must go wrong. Because the
Yeah.
impact of wrong upbringing, the impact of abuse is eternal, except there's divine intervention. When you recognize that, you are going to be careful the people you leave your children with, the people you allow your children to interact with, all this sleepover, go and sleep over. You will know that
Mm,
from sleepover, your child can carry a problem that is of a lifetime.
mm,
So for me,
mm.
it's due diligence, is to just
Thank you.
recognize the fact that our children really are our treasures. If they are
Mm,
our most valuable treasure, because something is your treasure, there are three ways we are going to know: the time you spend, the sacrifices, the time, the energy, the sacrifices. When you're able to tell us, show us the sacrifices you make, we're able to show us the time you spend, we're able to show us the energy you spend, we can now say of a truth that is your treasure. But when all of those things are absent, then it's not your treasure. So many of us
No.
claim that children are our treasure, but the way we treat them, we treat our password better, we treat our trinket better, we treat our diamond and precious stone better than we treat our children, and it ought not to be so.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Kelami. Before I call Madam to come and say hello to us,
She has even
final
left.
words. But she has left. Oh, she got
Yeah.
busy. Oh, okay,
Yes.
she got busy. Okay, final words for parents that have kids that are abused already and they are scared to open up. Some parents, we live in denial a lot in this part of the world. We live in
Mm.
denial. And they've sensed it that it seems this child has been abused, but they don't want to own up. How do you encourage them?
Well, they
And
have
what,
to
what
speak
kind of
up.
solution
They
for
have they
those
have
that
to
have
speak up, but you know that they have to speak up, but you know that speaking up also is
it has
not
to
easy,
fear?
because speaking up
Exactly.
has
That's
consequences.
mm,
Even in developed countries, for Joyce Meyer, for example, we tell our story of
yes,
how
yes.
her mother knew that her father was
That the
actually
father was
molesting her,
abusing her.
and the mother
Yes,
did not speak up because of her own security. So,
yes.
and when you now come to a society where there's no safety net, is a major issue.
Mm,
So we just have to
yeah,
encourage parents, women, men to speak up. We just have to ask them to damn the consequences of the kind of society in which we find ourselves. And we have to encourage every member of society to encourage people to speak out. That's why I'm saying we still need a support group. We need to come together as
yes,
parents. When you have that support group, you are there, you discuss everything. And when you face this kind of situation, you have people you can discuss with them. This is what I'm going through, this is what I'm going through, and they can support you and they can find help for you. Now, gone
mm,
are those days when you raise children as an island. As a matter of fact, we have not been told that it takes a village to raise a child.
it does.
So we have to
It takes
recognize that and be
everyone.
ready to look for cooperation, to look for people to support us, to join us, so that this journey can be more rewarding, can be easier. Because I tell
Yes.
you, it is not an easy task to give a hope and a future to children.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Akilami. Thank you. Thank you so much. We've been talking about the joy of childhood, and Mr. Akilami here has been amazing. Mr. Akilami is a children human rights and protection lawyer. He's so much into many things. A consultancy, he's a consultant for the Nigerian child, how to raise a child. Safety is very key for him, and he believes more in precaution, in being proactive about it, not waiting for the worst to happen, because according to him, the healing process is difficult. The scars will always be there. And we've learned a lot of words, a lot of new things for me, strategy on how to teach these children, saying it the way it is, making everything private so that they can be respected, and also being an example for these children, being the one to show them. It's going to be hard because this journey is has to be there. Thank you, Mr. Kilami, for being on the show. I'm
Thank
so,
you so
so
much
grateful.
for having
I
me.
know you have another section to go into. Mr.
Yes.
Kilami is available. You can reach him on Instagram. His name is I am Taiwo Akinlami on Instagram, and on Facebook, Taiwo Akinlami, the preacher, is on Facebook too as well. Mr. Akinlami has a podcast. He's a blogger as well. He writes. He's available to speak at any event, and I'm so grateful for that. If Mr. Akinlami was like, he's one of those people that you say they want to die empty. He wants to pour everything all out just to see that we have an healthy family, especially with focus on the future of tomorrow, which is the Nigerian child. God bless you, Mr. Kilami. May He continue to empower you. May He continue to
Thank
strengthen
you.
you, because I see you everywhere and you are doing a fantastic job. And I pray that more wisdom, more insight, and more grace to keep doing what you're doing. No money can pay you for this course. No money can be enough for it. It's a joy that you see, the parents that you speak to, and they tell you that, my child is doing great, my child is doing well. I think that's where the joy is. And I pray that you get more of those success stories in Jesus' name, and you
Thank
get
you very much,
very,
madam.
very good support and people to support you in this ministry, because it's a big ministry, sir. It's a big
Thank you very
ministry.
much, madam.
God, my regards to Madam. Like I
I will.
told her earlier, she's the main story. She's the main
Yes,
success
she
story
is.
in this journey. Without her, your mind can be this at rest. To
Yes.
know that, hey, with all the traveling and everything. God bless her and God
Thank you very
bless your
much,
family.
madam.
Thank you, Mr.
Bye.
Taiwo. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Yeah.
Have a lovely night. Bye, sir. Thank you, everyone. It's been fantastic to be back. It's our 1 year anniversary. Yes, we didn't celebrate. So much going on, so much going on. We will get there by God's grace. But it's been a journey of great experiences. I have been blessed, and I know you have been blessed. But it's been amazing having you on board. And I want to give a special, massive shout out to Emirad Oyibo. Thank you so much, sis. She had to buzz me. She just buzzed in and said, madam, we've not seen you for over 3 weeks. Oh, that there's so many things in life that some people appreciate. Some people may appreciate houses, may appreciate cars, may appreciate other things, but I appreciate those kind of kind gestures that money cannot buy. The art of remembrance, of remembering someone. And I know for those that also remembered, but they didn't know how to reach out to me and ask me, wondering, in their heart and praying that all is well. All has always been well. But it's just that we just had to take a break because I had a lot of projects and I didn't want to just do anything. I just wanted to take my time to get the right guest and everything on the show. And I'm so grateful to everyone, to Ronke in Canada, always checking on me. Thank you so much, sis. Thank you, everyone. I'm so grateful to those that saw the flyer and buzzed and said, welcome back, Vic. Thank you so much. It's been 1 year. We started the show from the first week in May 2020 during the lockdown until May now. We are still flying by the grace of God, and we'll do more by His grace. But just keep praying with me, and I know that, and I will keep praying with you because it's supposed to be symbiotic. I know it's not easy right now in Nigeria. It's so many difficult things, but don't let your spirit be dampened. Don't lose it, my friend. Don't lose it. Keep it going. You can have a plan D if you care to have. You can have a plan Z if you care to have. But let God be the center of it all. Whatever decision you want to make, what is God saying about it? So it's not about just you having a plan B. If you have a plan B and it fails over there, what happens? So be careful and be watchful and know, just be sure that God is involved. God is the ultimate one. I'm not saying that we should leave the whole work to Him. I'm saying that let the direction. Bible says, I shall hear a voice behind me saying, this is the way, walk in it. Who is speaking that voice is very key. Are you the one speaking the voice? Is Nigeria the one giving you that voice? Or God is the one giving you that voice? So if God says have a plan Z, please go ahead, have a plan Z. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a lovely evening. Hooray to fantastic 1 year of blessings. We've had amazing guests. I want to say thank you to all the guests that have been on the show. Massive thank you to everyone that come online every time. And those that have won our quiz questions and won our gifts, I say thank you to you all for participating. Thank you to everyone. Everyone, it's been amazing. I want to use this opportunity to say this might not be the big deal yet, but we are in that direction. And my heart is grateful that I am doing what I love to do, even though I'm not getting the money. For 1 year, I've not been paid a dime. I am even the one investing, buying data, buying to be on this platform as well, buying to be in the premium package to be able to do this every Friday. And God has been faithful, and I do not take it for granted. I have the opportunity to fulfill one of my dreams. And so thank you, everyone. And I pray for you and I pray for your household. I have seen testimonies. I tell you, God is true God and is ever faithful. And I pray that He will bring your dreams to pass. He will bless your home. He will bless the work of your hands. He will bless all that concerns you. Your children will call you blessed. Your family will call you blessed. Whatever your desire, to marital breakthrough, financial breakthrough, fruit of the womb, a new job, promotion, contract agreement, fulfilling purpose, going after your dreams, God will do it. But remember that always remember other people. As you're praying for self, the prayers become faster when you pray for others, when you are grateful on behalf of others. Celebrate other people. It's just one life, my friend. And it's good we celebrate each other right now when we are together. So celebrate other people, pray for them, rejoice with them. It's simple. Life is not this hard. Have fun together when you need to have fun together. And your dreams, God has a way of making your dream come faster when He knows that you are remembering other people. And as we are celebrating the Nigerian child for the next few weeks till the May 27th, I have amazing kids that will be coming on the show next week, about 6 of them, handsome boys and some beautiful girls. They'll be coming on the show and they'll be sharing with us how they feel as a Nigerian child. Has it been pleasant? What are their challenges? We're going to hear from these amazing, intelligent, young Nigerian boys and girls. And I hope you will join me by 7 p.m. next week, Friday. Please check us on YouTube. I couldn't go to YouTube this evening, so sorry for those that were trying to connect to YouTube. We couldn't log in on time to YouTube, so I lost that contact there. But definitely the replay of this show will be on YouTube. If you are yet to subscribe, I have over 4,000 friends on Facebook and only have 300 plus on YouTube. Come on now, people, help me now. Go and subscribe if you have not. Please tell your friends to subscribe. It doesn't cost you. All you need to have a Gmail account for you to subscribe. And why I need you to subscribe, I need to get to 1,000. You always say we should give ourselves target. My target is to get to 1,000 subscribers. So please go on YouTube and subscribe. Tell friends to subscribe as well. Help me. Let's move this ministry forward. God bless you, fam. Have a fantastic week and my love to your family. Remember, the day you wake up to your dreams is your morning. Run with it and don't give up. Jesus loves you. Bye, everyone. Have a lovely night. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Thank you. I said, okay, let me say hello to Desta. Thank you, Mr. Nick Bede. That's my husband. Adiola, baby, my go-to-go girl. Thank you, sweetie. Oh, Baba Jide Afolan, good to have you. Good to have you. He was my guest on the show, one of the best teachers in Lagos, all over the world, one of the best teachers. Thank you, my brother. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Have a lovely